Welcome to Pro Wrestling Planet. My name is The Brand. How may I help you? Hello and welcome back. This is 8 things you need to know before going to WrestleMania. Let's go. Number 1, this may be the most important thing. Find out stuff about the venue, okay? Do a little research, something a little bit past a Wikipedia page, if you will. Maybe even try to ask people that have been to the stadium. If you're traveling from afar, this may be something that's kind of difficult to do. And when I say find out stuff about the venue, I don't just mean like, oh, where's a good place to sit? Yes, that is important. But when people ask for a good place to sit, they're mainly concerned with their view. That's kind of the first and foremost thing that you're thinking about. What is my view going to be? But just a little food for thought, let you keep in mind that sometimes in the stadium that you're in, the greatest view or the greatest opportunity might not actually be the best seat in the house for whatever reason. Case in point, my first WrestleMania was in MetLife Stadium in New York City. My wife and I sat at the very top of the second section of the upper deck, which just so happened to be where there was an open air portion of the stadium. So think of basically just the equivalent of a huge open window right behind you. And in 45-degree weather, with the wind blowing off the Atlantic Ocean, it's really not the greatest feeling in the world. Probably literally any other side of the stadium would have been warmer. And then you have the flip side of that. 2 years later, WrestleMania play button at Levi's Stadium. I believed I had a really good spot on the second level, right in front of the hard camera side. And it actually was a pretty great spot. My daughter and I made the broadcast a couple of times, even though it was an ant form. You could still make us out if you knew what you were looking for. No one let us know that in Levi's Stadium at a certain time of the day, the sun is basically directly in your face with no protection from it, and on a hot day the California sun can be straight up unbearable. Number 2, know the events going on in the area. There's gonna be a lot of events. There's nowhere near the time or the money that a single person I think could really stock up to visit each and every one. Of course, you have your WWE Access, or what's now been rebranded as WWE World, and I have some tips on that I'll share with you later. But in addition to that, WWE pops up all around the city in all kinds of different places. So you got to keep your ears and eyes out. There's a lot of special appearances, a lot of special signings. You could actually end up at one of these events, and because there's so much going on, maybe there's not really a whole lot of people there, and it ends up being something very, very cool. So, and that's not to even mention the litany of other things going on that are not exactly WWE related. You have things like WrestleCon, and pretty much half of the independent promotions in the country putting on shows somewhere in the area during the whole weekend. So there's always plenty of wrestling to watch, plenty of wrestlers to meet, plenty of things to do, and you want to be able to take advantage of all of it, or at least most of it. So do your homework. Number 3, this has to do specifically with Access or WWE World, for example. If you're ever going to show up early for anything, this needs to be it. Okay, if you're going to show up early to one thing in your entire life, it's going to have to be the time that you go to the WWE Convention, WWE World, Access, whatever they want to call it nowadays. You need to get there early, and you need to decide really quick once you get in those gates or those doors or however they have it set up that year. Find out where you're going, get into a line to meet a superstar if that's what you're going for. If you waste any time whatsoever, you're going to end up falling very much behind. Your best chance to get the most done is to get in there very early and quick, and try to get around to a few of the tables before a lot of people are actually in the building, because once you get about a half hour into it, that place starts filling up, all those lines start filling up, and the sessions for these things are only 4 hours long. Once the lines fill up, they'll last for an hour or more depending on how fast they fill up. So with that in mind, really the best case scenario is you're maybe looking at meeting a handful of superstars. So to kind of follow up to that, the other thing I would suggest to work in concert with that is to look at the possibility of purchasing multiple sessions. Now, I've never done this. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I think in order to get the most bang for your buck, you're going to want to maybe do 2 sessions back to back, or actually go 2 separate times. Maybe you could also try that as well. The reality is, with the lines, you're only going to get to do a certain amount of things, and this goes beyond meeting superstars. This kind of applies to anything that they have going on there. You want to get your picture taken inside the Hell in the Cell or whatever it is. It's going to be about an hour wait. Choose the things you want to do, choose them wisely, and try to get them done quickly. It's my best advice. Number 4, stay somewhere close. I've been on both ends of this spectrum, and I can say that it's definitely preferable to try to stay as close to the event as possible. First WrestleMania at MetLife Stadium, complete nightmare getting from New Jersey all the way back to Queens. Complete nightmare. Other side of that coin, Levi's Stadium 2 years later, stayed at the Marriott right down the street, 25-minute walk. It was the best experience ever. Walking to the show, walking from the show with all the members of the tribe. An amazing experience. Highly recommend it. That way you don't have to deal with traffic. You don't have to deal with public transportation. You can really soak in everything as you're going to and from. It's an amazing experience. Highly recommend it. Number 5, this one's kind of a funny one here, and I'm just going to say, pace yourself, okay? Now look, this isn't my thing in particular, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of folks, when you're going out to something like a WrestleMania or just kind of any event in general, you want to have a little drink. You want to get your drinky drink on during that time. And I think that is great. Rock on with your bad self. Do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy. I'm not here to judge one way or another, but what I will say is to just give you a little bit of advice and just pace yourself, okay? WrestleMania is a long event. Even nowadays that it's broken up into 2 days, it's still a very long event. You're looking from beginning to end anywhere from about 4 to 6 hours bare minimum that you're going to be in that stadium. You combine that with a lot of people that do pre-gaming before the event and get a little bit of drink before you come in, and you have to spend $15 a Coors Light. I'll share this very funny story about Levi Stadium and WrestleMania play button. There was the biggest John Cena fan in the world sitting a row in front of me. This guy was putting him down hand over fist from the time the pre-show started all the way up through the show. And well, to put it simply, by the time John Cena and Rusev came on, the guy was passed out. Completely asleep. Paid all that money to come to WrestleMania and watch his hero. Paid all that money to come to WrestleMania and watch his hero, John Cena. But Coors Light had a little something to say about that. All right, number 6, or whatever number we're on here. As a general suggestion, I'm going to say, when it comes to merchandise, folks, save your money, okay? I know for a lot of people, it's kind of a rite of passage to go to an event and make sure that you get some sort of souvenir, and I definitely understand that. Definitely can purchase something, but these people I see at these WrestleManias that are showing up and paying $400, $500 for a belt, completely insane. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of hypocritical of this myself. Both WrestleManias I've been to, I've purchased the event shirt while actually being at the show, paid a good amount of money for those shirts while at the show. But here's the thing, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, it all went on sale on WWE Shop. So my $45 WrestleMania t-shirt, if I would have just held out for a little bit, could have got it for $10 when it was all said and done a couple months later. This is something I would do differently. Maybe I could have used that money to purchase another access session or something like that. So that's where I'm coming from there. I can't tell you how to spend your money, of course, but I'm just saying if you want to save a little bit, that's going to happen. So there you go. And that kind of bleeds into our number 7 thing on the list right here is what I'll say is if you're going to get the merchandise, do it either before the show or after the show. Do not try to go during the show. You will miss a lot. Case in point, WrestleMania 31, because the sun was in mine and my daughter's face so badly and it was just right there blinding us. She actually didn't have a hat, so we left during Seth Rollins and Randy Orton to go try to buy her a hat, and the total time in line meant that we ended up missing the entire match. Finally, last but not least, and this is just kind of a simple thing, it really doesn't need to be said, have a good freaking time and don't fight with anyone, okay? Don't start no trouble just because the guy that you wanted to win didn't win or something like that. You know, don't make it escalate into a fight and end up in jail or something like that. You know, we're all a part of the same tribe here as wrestling fans, okay? Our opinions may differ, our backgrounds may differ. We have a lot of things that are different, but at the end of the day, we're all a part of that same tribe, people. We are the wrestling fan tribe, we are the pro wrestling planet, and that's what it's all about. That's all I've got for this freaking list. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to y'all. Does anybody else have any suggestions for attending WrestleMania out there? Please let me know down in the comments. I'm also down to hear your WrestleMania stories down there if you want to take the time and let me know. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Leave a like on your way out. Until next time, we'll see you right here on Pro Wrestling Planet.